Well, howdy, folks. Welcome back to the finale of Crown Cleveland Browns of the old Iron King. Glad I don't have to come up with any of those anymore. Welcome to the finale. You may have thought that this character, this Karak, was done with his duties at the end, but that is not the case. There's one little side area that is yet to be completed. And we are going to take that exciting journey now. Now, these fellas, these guys, I say this like John Gruden of Monday Night Football, these guys, you may know one of them from the place that I can't remember the name of, Belfry Soul. Belfry Soul, they're a randomly spawning enemy in that area. If you hit that bonfire, you heat yourself up, climb up that ladder. They occasionally spawn there, very rare. Here, they always appear, and that's crazy. But here, in the Belfry Soul, they're just like a random enemy that occasionally spawns, nothing special. Here, there are an invader. I don't think I even said that correctly. Here they are an invader, and there are not one, but rather 1 times 5 of them total, which can be a bit annoying. So if you got the poison arrows or the poison knives, I recommend strafing and shooting, and then not giving a single F otherwise. Why would you? So these prowlers, they have special unique armor sets. I think just armor sets. Maybe they have a unique weapon set? I don't know. I don't do research into these videos because I'm too cash for that, frankly. However, the problem with the arrow strategy is that these guys also have an arrow strategy, and then when you try to run away from the arrow strategy, they also have a sword strategy. But thankfully, when they come at me with a sword strategy, I too have a sword strategy, as I've been using a sword strategy for the duration of my Dark Souls playthrough. So I'm kind of prepared for that. And also rolling, you know? Rolling's good. So you may have noted that there is yet another statue of the lady who suddenly, I can't remember her name, Nadalia. Nadalia's statue is here, yet I am out of smelter wedges? And you may be asking yourself a W, and then you may be adding a TF into that, because that is kind of weird. You know, yeah, you had 6 smelter wedges to start this DLC, this delish off with, then you got another 4 into this delish, and then you have none from. Are you fucking with me? Are you trolling me from? I think you are. But, spoiler alert, there is one final smelter wedge in this armor that is farting constantly? What the F? WT fuck is up with that? Well, you know memories? You ever have them yourself? You ever, like, think and then think about something that happened to you that is not presently happening to you? Well, that's a memory. Thought I'd drop a little trivia facts, FAQs, into this final video. Well, this is also a memory. Yeah, you know what, NPCs, I'm over it, but I'm gonna treat you like real people regardless, because y'all seem nice. Lori and Adele, Drifter Swordsman Adele sings, you may know Drifter Swordsman Adele from the Skyfall song, from the Skyfall James Bond movie. Quite good, FYI. Okay, so this place behaves like any other memory you might go to. You come in, you know those giant memories that you visited before, you have limited time there, you have only so much time you can go to actually see all the memories. Although with this one, I've been through here a few times. I played through this on my first playthrough because I did have a first playthrough of this delish. I know I'm dropping some trivia in here and it's pretty crazy, but I've never been kicked out of the memory for lack of time. And so I'm wondering, and maybe I'm hoping some people more in the know can drop a mint. That's kind of casual for comment in this vid, which is also short for video. Is a time limit in this video? In this memory? Is that a thing that exists? Or do they give you unlimited time because the scope of this particular memory is a bit more... It's broader than other similar ones from those giants. The giants were pretty short. This one's also relatively brief, all things considered. Though if you're going through it in a blind capacity as I'm presenting it to you right now, this is kind of the blind perspective. Trying to be thorough, trying to make sure all the items are collected and etc. I want to say that normally you have about 5 minutes to go through these whatever you call them, these visions of past events. So the old Iron King, in his memories, he hired salamanders to, like, how did this old Iron King ever entertain an audience of any sort? You know, people are coming in from other kingdoms, and yet there's these fire salamanders and kind of an overkill guard as well, and kind of bland decor as well in the area. So you have foreign statesmen and such coming through here. They're seeing blood piles on the floor. They got salamanders. They got these knights. It's just not very becoming of an irony king, you know? Just me. But, so these are Allen Knights. You may know the Allen Knights from the Iron Keep. If you are a Dark Souls 2 connoisseur, if you've played video games, you might know of them. I know I do. However, these Allen Knights seem, and, you know, I just assume their names are all Allen. And, you know, correct me if I'm off, but, you know, you see how they wield the katanas, their frames, they just, you know, just kind of seems like, hey, your name's probably Allen. Am I right? These guys are a bit more beefy, though, than their counterparts that were in the Irony Keep. They have... Now, granted, they of course have more HP because I'm using Adele and Lori in my current entourage. But they seem to hit quite a bit harder as well. So I'm under the impression that these Allen Knights are beefed up. So that is why I think, I'm trying to remember, why at some point I put on a stoned ring. And even with the stoned ring on, it still takes two hits of either an arrow or a swad to stagger them. And if you're using an espada ropera, as I am, then... Well, really, in any situation, you want to be able to get some hits on these Allen Knights and stagger them. But if you're using the espada, as I am, and you don't have that stone ring on, you can poke them multiple times, but then they're going to come in, they're going to get a hit on you. And if you're a Dexy character, you're probably not going to have much poise in the first place, and that is going to make you kind of vulnerable. And that is not good. So you may be asking yourself, and I hope you are, otherwise this commentary is going to be really embarrassing. You're going through this memory. There's probably a fog door at the end of this. You had that one giant memory where you fought a giant. There was a boss fight, a memory boss. Why would you go through it? And in the previous Delish, there were 3 total bosses. So you're probably thinking there's probably a 3rd boss coming up soon. And you, my friend, are brilliant for coming up with that deduction, because you are right. So right! There is indeed a 3rd boss. A boss that I don't think I completely appreciated my first playthrough, because I just kind of, well, okay, here's the problem. So, lots of Dark Souls bosses, you kind of learn by dying from them. You learn what to avoid and such. You get killed, you come back, you rinse and repeat, improve, eventually win. And that's kind of a continuing problem I've had with this in the previous game, is that just the trek back to get to the boss in the main game or in the Delicious is just a wee bit on the tedious side. I like the whole learning process, I like the difficulty of it, but just the tedium of getting back to where you were to give it the old college try again it can be a bit much. Like with the Fume Knight, that was fine because it was right there, but the trek here, and speaking of, let's assume that you just fuck up and die against whatever may be in that fog door back there, and you want to go through ASAP. You traverse the area, you uncovered all the items, you die, you want to go back. Can you do that quickly and not waste 11 minutes of time as I did just now? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. With varying degrees of success, mind you. But it is possible to run and roll past through those first sets of Allen Knights, and, you know, you're dragging literally all of them with you. The problem is this salamander right here. If you have a fast weapon, you can kill it pretty quickly and then get out of the way very fast and then run. And if you're able to do that without taking too much damage, you can avoid all those dudes, get into the second area. I think at that point all those guys will start to... Well, I'm actually not sure, because they drop down from above, so their whole, like, you know, the character went too far, we have to backtrack to our post thing. I don't know how that kicks in at that point. I usually don't hang around to find out. You'll take some shots, you might even die on the way, but eventually you can make your way here. Now, you can summon Lori and Adele to help you. They can serve as distractors for the enemies, but I find that that's more of a waste of time than anything else. Because they don't really serve as distractors, to be honest. And also, they're just kind of weak in general. So you don't need to use those summons to speed your way here. You can just roll past them and it's fine. I mean, look at this. Look at this pathetic display. 42. Anyway. So you desummon them, get to this boss. Of course, the dudes on this level who backtrack you can be dicks. But here we are. Sir Allen himself. Now this fight, I know I kind of have said in previous Souls vids that I'm not as... that the humanoid fights in an arena are kind of too commonplace in this game. I think that's true. However, if there have to be humanoid fights, humanoid-sized fights in an arena in the DLC, I like this one. This is a pretty good one. It's fair. The boss does choreograph attacks a lot, so it is kind of on you to either have a handy shield or be good, learn to be good at the timing of dodging. I find that when the boss does his leap to very far away from you attack, my preferred method is to roll backwards rather than into him, because if you do that, you'll most likely get out of his range in the first place. You can take some time to either recover, it's an opportune time to heal, or you can walk into him and give him a poke or two. So using a weapon like the Respirator is generally pretty good for me. I'm a fan of it. Any kind of fast weapon. This boss is quick, just like the Allen Knights that he is. I guess he's their dad. He's fathered a lot of kids, which is crazy, and so that's why it explains why he's so mad at us, because, you know, we killed a lot of his kids, and that is fucked up. You know, I know I've been saying Sir Allen this whole time, but I honestly don't know how to pronounce this, so this is kind of why I've done the jokey pronunciation this whole time. So, you know, you have alone, but, you know, then you can just say, like, wow, pretty. He sure is alone because he's just by himself and shit. Or is it alone? Or just some other kind of, you know, you just throw an extra syllable or a little bit of an emphasis somewhere. Anyway, when you get him down to about halvesies health, he starts doing that upwards down attack, and he does this whole chargey thing a bit more. And I don't think it ever connected with me in this particular fight, because, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm pretty good, okay, frankly. But it's a pretty cool attack when it connects, because when he has the glowy dark shit on his sword and he pokes you, basically runs through you, picks you up, and then flings you a little bit across the room and does bleed damage, I want to say? Not curse. It looks like the kind of thing that should do curse, kind of like the Pursuer. When the Pursuer does that charge attack with the sword, and then he also does that thrust attack, and it curses you. This guy does not curse you, and I'm thankful for that. Thankfully. But overall, I like this fight. It's a very fair fight. The learning curve of it is not especially high. It's I don't know, I still can't figure out why the whole Fume Knight thing, why he tripped me up so much. But this one, I think it's just because he choreographs his attacks a bit more. You can he only has a limited set of attacks. And when he gets to that whole 50% down thing, he only adds a couple of more things into the mix, which are still pretty well choreographed. But it's still difficult. Even though it's choreographed, it's still slightly challenging in that you still have to get the timing of it down. And it's fairly tight timing, but not so tight timing, if you know what I mean. And on top of that, you know, if you have your shield up too much, he'll do the whole kick thing. He'll kick you. I like that. Good boss. Good boss overall. Good boss to solo duel. And if you do have too much trouble with it, you can bring in those two dudes. Those folks you can summon into the mix as well. Although again, they're rather weak, but they're also good distractors. Good distractors. So, I have obtained the soul of the Sir Knight that we fought, and also the Smelter Wedge. There is, of course, one more Smelter Wedge that I have not wedged into a smelt yet, and I'm gonna wedge that smelt right now, live, post live, whatever you say. What I do when it's too sunny outside. I literally glow like that and cover my eyes. Okay. So you got the soul frag, or I think that's the whole soul actually, and then it confirms that you did indeed collect the Bride of Ass. So let's see what the Bride of Ass lore is. And while that lore comes up, I would just like to say that you can, if you'd like to trade this soul for a limited time offer, you can trade it for the Chime of Screams or Outcry. The Chime of Screams is a slow casting chime that has moderate scaling in both lightning and dark. It's fairly good for low faith characters, as I understand. Or Outcry, so other words, it's probably garbage. And then Outcry, which is like a Chaos Storm, only it's like the Black Flame stuff. And that was a correction I think someone posted on the last video, that it's not Dark Flame, but it's rather Black Flame. Small difference, but yes. So a different sort of chaotic storm, as I'm to understand. And then Sir Alone, you can trade his soul for a fairly cool katana that you can do like a Harry Carry thing on yourself, and it charges it up a little bit. That's kind of neat, allegedly, I've heard. And finally, one thing I forgot to do in the main playthrough of the game, I'm a completionist. Just fuck off my dick for a second and just let me show this thing off that I'm pretty sure I didn't show before. You can go into the Dragon's Memories and then look for a thing. There's actually not much in here, but I like the look and feel of it. I like the scenery. I just like the whole post-war kind of like, you know, how in Final Fantasy VI you had the whole World of Ruin thing, and that was kind of cool your first time going through it. I just kind of like that whole, like, this is the aftermath of some major shit that happened sort of landscape. I just like that whole vibe. Even though in this area there's, like, nothing except one item. But for a place that only has one little item, you know, it's, I like the vibe. The gray, ashen vibe of it all. Of it all. So the ancient dragon soul. So I'm not quite. Again, comments. Feel free to, you know, lay down the deets on this. Ancient dragon is the guy you fight at the shit. I can't remember the name of the area. The you know, the thing. He gives you the ashen mist heart, and he's an optional boss. Maybe the boss was too hard, and so they didn't want to like have this be a requirement of beating him off, so they just gave you this here. But I'm not sure why it's here in a memory instead. You know, whatever. Maybe I'll do Ivory King. I don't know. What do you think?